Wow. Okay, welcome back. I'm Andrew, your crypto guy on the internet, and a lot of stuff has happened since we last talked. So the last time I made a video, I was trying to determine whether or not Bitcoin goes to 20K or 30K first. And back then, I wasn't certain yet because I had to see how some of the news with these banks would turn out. Well, shortly after that, we lost 3 banks real fast. We lost Signature, Silicon Valley Bank, and Silvergate. And then now we've lost Credit Suisse. That is a big Swiss bank. So there's everything's falling apart. And Bitcoin, as a result, did go to 20K first, but then since then has gone all the way up to, what are we at now, 28,300? It went up 45% in 10 days as the banks are collapsing, which is exactly what Bitcoin is supposed to do. That makes me feel good. That it's a place to go when the system that we're bound to, this house of cards, starts to tremble. You have a place to go, and that's what Bitcoin is for. Not only is it the world's largest decentralized unhackable network that can send money anywhere instantly, and it's worth the same no matter what country you're in, no matter that it can't be controlled by any bank, government, or corporation. Bitcoin, above all else, is the place to hide when this corrupt system that we're all bound to collapses. And that's what we're seeing. So the Fed had to jump in and inject some more fake money to keep the banking system from collapsing. Because the Fed has been raising rates quickly to try to pull out some of this fake money and bring inflation under control. While our government continued to spend like crazy, the Fed is trying to do something about the problem all of that creates. But the faster and harder you raise rates, the more strain you put on the banks, and the banks are breaking. So the Fed had to kind of and try to put some band-aids on this lie that they've created, essentially undoing a lot of the tightening that we've been going through. Okay? So this whole thing is just terribly managed. The next meeting is on the 21st, 22nd. We get the results on the 22nd, which is in 3 days, okay? And then they're going to tell us if Jerome Powell plans on raising rates another quarter point, another half point, or he's just going to hold off. He's just going to pause for a little bit and let all this stuff settle. That's what my vote would be, all right? I go, why don't you just chill for a second? But who knows what they're going to do. Here's what Biden's plan is.
Banking system, protecting the economic gains we've made together for the American
Listen
people.
to the reporters try to ask
Thank
him
you.
questions.
God bless you, and may God protect our troops. See you in California.
Mr. President, what do you know right now about why this happened? And can you assure Americans that there won't be a ripple effect?
Do you expect other banks to fail, Mr. President?
Should all depositors be protected at all banks?
All right, thank
That kills me. I look at the guy's like, he's like trying to hurry a question in like Joe's just going to go, oh yeah, oh that? Yeah, no, well that too. Joe does not want to answer questions because he can't. He wasn't given an answer. Anyway, so this all is adding up to people losing confidence in our fake money system. And so now we have another 200 banks that are in a similar scenario to what Silicon Valley Bank was in. UBS agrees to buy Credit Suisse for pennies on the dollar. They were rivals before. I still can't believe this. This is like the Wells Fargo of Europe. This is a serious bank. All of this is because our yield curve is inverted, meaning if you give money to the government, you loan it to them through treasury bill, say a short-term savings bond of some kind. Right now you're getting a lot of money back for a bond. And the long-term bonds, you're not getting much. This is supposed to be a bigger reward for long-term versus short-term. And a lot of these banks are sitting on a ton of long-term bonds. And now they're completely upside down and they're losing their ass. And with these new interest rates at 4.75% or so, just under 5%, the banks are just hemorrhaging money and they don't know what to do. And they're over leveraged and they've loaned everything out and people are asking for the money and they don't have any, okay? So if you're unfamiliar with the fractional reserve banking system that we operate under, banks are supposed to have, up until recently, which I'll get into, banks are supposed to have 10% of the money in reality. So, like, if you loan them $1, if you put $1 in your bank account, the bank takes that dollar and loans it out 10 times, essentially creating 10 times the money out of thin air. And that's great. Fractional reserve banking is excellent for creating rapid growth in an economy. But it's not good if a lot of people try to get their money out of the bank at the same time. That's what a bank run is. Because the money doesn't exist in reality. It's all on paper loans. It's fake. So it used to be 10% had to be kept on reserves. But after COVID, that rule was changed to 0%. The Republicans and the Democrats unanimously agreed that as part of a way to get us out of this COVID thing, we're going to make it so banks don't have to keep anything. It can be 0%. And it's still that way. And so now that the interest rates are getting up there and inflation has been a problem for so long, and the bond yield curve is inverted for so long, that these banks, they don't have any reserves. They have nothing to lean on, and so they're desperate and they're going under real fast, one after another, and the Fed has to jump in and essentially print more money to keep the banks afloat. The whole thing is fake. And this is why the last time something like this happened was in 2008. And that's when Satoshi, the faceless creator, either it's one person or a group of people, they created Bitcoin as an alternative to this whole banking thing. They're like, I don't trust these people anymore. There's got to be something else. And when the banks start to shiver and people see the cracks in all of these lies, Bitcoin is the thing that goes up because it's the way out. Does Bitcoin replace the US dollar? No. At least not in the short term. I don't see that happening for a long time. But it is a place to go when the banks are falling apart. Now, where else could you go? Do you have to buy Bitcoin? You could buy gold. Look at that. The curve looks the same. Pretty similar. They're doing the same thing right now. Gold is the only real money in the world, okay? But it's harder to use. Like, if your country collapses, you can't put bars of gold in a suitcase and try to escape. Someone will take it from you. But if you have Bitcoin, you can just send it to yourself anywhere in the world, and it's instant and worth the same no matter what. And nobody can take it from you unless they beat you up hard enough to where you give them your passwords, okay? So Bitcoin is the way to go, or gold, or if you just want to sit and wait and see what happens, you can move into like a high yield dividend stock like JEPI, JEPI, or Altria, MO. So these two stocks, you don't make money off the price of the shares. Look at that. It's always 50, 60 bucks. This one's got a little, yeah, look. Pretty steady, 50, 60, 70, okay, 45, all right. You don't really get excited about the price of the stock so much. This is over years, okay? You make the money off the dividend yield, which some of these are like 10 or 11% or something now. So if you want to hide your money and just park it somewhere, try to maintain some sort of value, you can just collect the interest off your dividends, which is not sexy, but it is a conservative move you could make. That is assuming we don't face hyperinflation, which happens like that. It can happen in 3 days, where suddenly the price of everything triples. We have 300% inflation in 3 days. That's happened before. And that could happen to us. The only reason why it doesn't is not because we have gold, or not because any of this is real. It's because our military is so mighty, and people are afraid to challenge us. But people are challenging us. Russia, China, the Saudis, plenty of other countries are joining together because they're tired of this petrodollar bullshit. And I get it. I understand. I don't want to play along either. So what is the Fed going to do? Are they going to raise rates or not? I mean, the European Fed equivalent raised their rates, but you know, their rate isn't nearly as high as ours. Theirs is like 3% or so. So they have more room to wiggle than we do. But our banks are getting squeezed. They're falling apart, and we got to print more money to keep this whole lie afloat. And so Bitcoin is showing its might, showing its purpose, and this seems to be the best move right now. So far, Bitcoin, as of January 1st to now, is the best performing asset you can possibly buy. That's not according to me, that's according to reality. It's way better than anything else in terms of if you bought Bitcoin on January 1st of this year, the price it is at right now is a bigger gain than anything else you could possibly buy, including houses. Now, will that continue? I don't know, but so far that is true for this year. So where's Bitcoin going? Now, we already knew that 24, 25 was a thick wall of resistance. There was a lot of volume in that area, and we managed to break through it as the banks collapsed. And so now we're kind of in a blast up here, up to about 30K. Now, what happens at 30K? Well, you got another wall. You got a bunch of volume kind of in that zone. So 30 to 32 is sticky. We'd have to break through that. But then if you do that, then it's another clear sailing on up to, what is this, mid-30s, high 30s. It's kind of a mess. There's not a lot of strong resistance in that area. But what's more likely is that we go up to like 29.5, 30, and we bump our head and come back down, okay? What needs to happen for Bitcoin to jump to the next leg is you got to get on top of this line, which is about 29.5, have a daily close above that line, fall back to it, retest, and then continue to go up. So we would have to go above 29.6, 29.7. Let's try to zoom in here. So the price would have to go up here, have a daily close, okay? Then retest it and don't fall through. It has to stay above it, turn it into support, and then continue going up. Then you long the shit out of it because there's not much resistance there. Look at this open hole, okay? And then you even have this CME gap. You had a CME way back here at like 34,000. We eventually have to clean that up and get there. So I would say we at least make it to the gap. All right? Do I think the price is going to do that? I'm slightly bullish, I'll be honest. Mostly because I'm betting against all these motherfuckers. I know this banking stuff is falling apart. I know the Fed has to chill out for a while. They're not going to cut rates, though. Anyone who tells you the Fed's going to cut rates is stupid. You don't do that right now. You leave them high and then you chill. You just let everything adjust around that. The issue with the Fed is they were forced to do it so quickly that things started to snap. So I think you feed some more fake money to keep the monster at bay, and then you leave it alone, let people adjust to these new rates for a couple of months, and then we reconvene and talk if we want to go up another quarter point or down a quarter point. So when are people predicting that the actual Fed pause kicks in? June, probably. So you could say we go up another quarter point, people repanic, but then the Fed continues to back small-time depositors of like $250,000 or less, like the FDIC. Then we chill for April, and then May, and then June. So usually you sell in May and walk away, but it might be sell in June and walk away. I'm not really sure. Stuff is changing so fast, and every video I put out, I get DMs going like, hey man, thanks for telling me I just made 30% on Bitcoin. And then the next one is like, what the fuck, dude? I just lost everything based on what you said. It's like, dude, I'm one guy on the internet, okay? And things change fast, and I work a lot, so I'm not here all the time. But I am watching this stuff. But the bottom line is the banks are failing, and Bitcoin is shining, and this is exactly what it was created for. It's being proven right now. So I don't want the banks to collapse. I don't want Bitcoin to be worth $1 million all of a sudden, because that means the US dollar has collapsed. So I saw this one guy betting. He was the old CTO or something of Coinbase. And he's like, oh yeah, Bitcoin's going to be at $1 million in 90 days, which is totally a marketing stunt. As a marketing guy, I can tell you it's a marketing stunt, okay? And he's willing to throw $1 million at it to get people hyped up. But the truth is, Bitcoin isn't suddenly worth $1 million and now you're wealthy. Bitcoin's $1 million because cheeseburgers cost $20,000. Okay, it means the dollar has collapsed in value. It's hyperinflated. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Okay, we don't want Bitcoin at $1 million overnight. That's not healthy. Eventually, yes. In a couple of bull runs over the next 10 years, awesome. I'm in on that. But in 90 days, what are you trying to get us all killed? Relax. Okay? So what am I doing? I'm working too much, man. Honestly, I only have my day job so I have something to tell girls. Okay? So like if I'm on a date and she goes, what do you do for a living? Because that's the most important thing as a man, is what you do for a living. I can't say I'm a crypto trader or a crypto investor, because she'll tell her friends and her family and they'll be like, ugh, get away from him. So I have to say something like, I'm a director of marketing, which I am. Ooh, that's a big boy job. The reality is, I can make my year's salary as a director of marketing with one trade while taking a shit through crypto. So I have to keep up appearances. I'm going to keep a day job just to pay the day-to-day bills. But just know that this stuff is for real. I'm talking Bitcoin, some of the big caps. I really like Matic. Ethereum's still good. Some of these other ones are, the market's low in general. But crypto, look, it's all green and all the stocks are red. All the stocks is like traditional money stuff. Now, the uranium's going up a little bit because we might have World War III. But if you're in traditional stuff like stocks, I'd probably just hide in some dividend stuff for a little while. But I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy on the internet who reads a lot. Okay? No, you do this yourself. Follow all kinds of different opinions. There are people who are always bearish. They think we're totally fucked all the time. There's nothing you can do. And then you have people who are going, we're going to the moon, man. Everything's great. All in right now. And then you have people like me who are somewhere in between. But ultimately, you should watch all those different opinions and then make up your own. Because it's your money and it's your life and you make the moves you want to make. For me, I got into crypto in 2017. I bought some Ethereum when it was at $300 or something, and I just sat on it because I didn't really know. At the time, that was the peak of the local market when I bought it. I think it was like $300 or $400 or something at the time. I didn't know. I just thought it was kind of interesting. And then I went to my day job, and for the first year or two, all I did is I went home after work and I just watched YouTube videos, learning about crypto. And when you learn about crypto, you're kind of forced to learn about all the other markets too. The traditional banking system, international markets, currency trade, what's going on with these wars, which countries hate each other and love each other, who's making moves. And you start to learn this giant picture, and crypto's just a part of it that reacts to the rest of it. So if you want to be a crypto bro that buys NFTs and Dogecoin at the peak of the market and then you lose your ass, and then that's what creates memes, everyone thinks crypto is a joke because of those guys. The real investors, crypto investors, take it slow and they learn first. This is a new skill. And then when you start to see things play out as predicted or not, you learn. And the longer you're in it and the more research you do, the more it pays off. As long as you don't invest your rent money in anything, have your bills paid, and then invest in things that you find interesting, being willing to lose it all. Okay, so don't bet your house on anything. Don't take a loan to invest in crypto. Don't do that. But the more you learn, the smarter your investments get, the smarter your moves get. And calling this one and seeing this happen was good for me. And I hope it was good for you too. So stay on it, okay? Keep watching these people. Don't let them surprise you. Right now they're talking about arresting Trump on Tuesday because they don't want you to look at this shit. This is the real problem. Have a great day.